everyone, my name is Heather and welcome to the channel Bookables and welcome to another type of spooky, atmospheric, just October recommendations video. Today I'm going to talk about some of my favorite witchy reads. Now I did this video for the first time ever last year and so I'm doing it this year. I have a couple new ones that I've added on. I do love witchy reads, I really do. I don't like the really scary witchy ones, but I like more kind of cozy witchy vibes. These books I'm going to talk about maybe some spookier ones, some lighthearted ones. Either way, witches are at the core of them. So let's get into it.
There's some things though I know for certain. Always throw spilled salt over your left shoulder. Keep rosemary by your garden gate. Plant lavender for luck. And fall in love whenever you can.
And that is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durr. So this one's witchy, it's more cozy fantasy kind of vibes. If that's your thing, this is a great book for you. In this book we follow a character named Keela who lives on like the Empire, and she's a librarian and she loves her job. She's always in the library, she doesn't have really a social life, and she works a lot with her assistant Kaz, who is a literal spider plant that can talk and move and all of those things. He's like a sentient being, which is awesome. But the Empire is starting to get overthrown. Rebellers are starting to come and they are burning things. They're starting to break into the library. Everyone else has abandoned ship. Like all the librarians have left and just pieced out. And Keela's like, I cannot leave these books. So her and Kaz take as many books as they can by the boatload, like 4 or 5 crates, and they sail off because the Empire is really just being ruined. And so they sail off to the island where Keela used to grow up on. And it's a very small island where everybody knows everybody, and she kind of just has to find her way there. She has to make a living for herself because she doesn't have really any money or anything, but she does have spell books she took from that library. And so from that, she's learned how to do spells that are illegal. You're not really supposed to take them, but I mean, nobody else was helping the library. She was the only one trying to save the books, you know? So do what you gotta do, girl. But she did spells to try to make plants grow faster with as far as like strawberries and raspberries. From that she made jam so she could sell to make her a living on this island. Also, the island's really not doing well because a sorcerer doesn't come around as much as they used to help with the trees and things like that. So Keela's like, I'll do that because I have spell books. So she's kind of like not a witch, but witchy vibes because of the spell book. But either way, this is just so warm and cozy, full of fantastical things. And she's kind of a witch at the core of it because she's trying to do all this to help people. And it's just super cute, so fun, a great fallish witchy time, I'd say. Then we have Cackle by Rachel Harrison. So I've read a lot of Rachel Harrison books. She writes kind of horror. This one, I will say, as weird as it sounds, it's like more cozy horror. I know, just bear with me. So in this book, we follow a character named Annie, and Annie is not having a good time in her life. Her boyfriend's broken up with her. She doesn't really like her job. She doesn't know what to do. So she decides to just up and leave and move to this very small town. I forget where at. And she goes to the small town and she gets a job there. She's trying to make friends, and then she meets Sophie. And Sophie is kind of like the town's oddball. Nobody really talks bad about her, but nobody really has great things to say about her. Everyone's kind of scared of her, and Annie does not get why because Sophie is warm and fun. She has this beautiful, like, kind of gothic mansion. Well, turns out my dear Sophie is a witch, and that's why everyone's scared of her. But she's not like super scary, but man, she will set some traps on you if you mess with her friends. It's about friendship, but also about Sophie being a witch and, you know, confiding in Annie this. She hasn't really told anybody this, and she's been around for a long time and never really had a true friend like Annie. And so we've got witchy vibes in this. It's not my favorite witchy book, but she does a lot with spiders too. Like there's some friend spiders that she has to like send and, you know, to watch over people, and I do like that. But I'd say if you want kind of just a fun witchy time, I would recommend Cackle. Next up, we have one of my favorite witchy books, and that is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Madana. I read this a couple years ago, loved it, so cute. So this is about a character named Micah who is a witch, only you have to keep it hush hush, understandably so. She has a coven technically that they meet like maybe twice a year to make sure everybody's following the rules, because if you're a witch, you have to follow super strict rules. Like, don't tell anybody. You can't really have any witchy friends because that would bring, you know, everyone to know everybody. You can't really do magic. It's like really strict. In fact, even if you're growing up and you're from a witch's, like your mom's a witch, you have to be moved away. You have to learn somewhere else. And so Micah's just feeling like she doesn't have any sort of like camaraderie with other witches. And then she gets a letter one day saying like, you know, hey, I have some nieces that just turned a certain age and they're all witches and we have no one to train them. And so Micah's like, you know what? I didn't have that either when I was younger. I want to train these girls of how to be a witch and how to do it right. So she goes to this house and she meets a staff of people there that are taking care of these young girls. And there she meets a grumpy kind of librarian that maybe she has feelings for and falls in love with these three girls that are learning their powers, and Mike is there to help navigate them. And it is just so cozy, so cute. Definitely gives kind of practical magic vibes off with the whole teaching of magic things, but I loved and adored it. Moving on to some more romance witchy vibes, I have The X-Hex by Erin Sterling. This is actually a series that I still need to finish. So we have The X-Hex, and then we have The Kiss Curse, and then she has a new one coming out called The Wedding Witch. But either way, it's set in a small town. It's kind of like Stars Hollow if Stars Hollow had witches and stuff in it. So we have a character named Vivi who years ago she was with her boyfriend Reese and everything was going just so hunky-dory, and he breaks up with her and she's like devastated, understandably. So she decides, you know, why not? I'm just gonna get drunk, take a bath, and then put a curse on this dude because she's a witch. She's like, why not? And you know, the curse never comes to fruition, but man, does she feel a lot better. Now, many, many years later, Reese is returning because he is part of the founding family of this town, so they have to come every once in a while to recharge the ley lines with the magic and stuff. And as soon as he sets foot in the town again, things start to go awry, like wind-up toys start going crazy. There's cats that start talking. Like, it's like the town kind of doesn't want him there. It wouldn't have to do anything with the curse that Vivi put on him years and years ago. She realizes this and she's like, oh crap, I guess I should probably help because I kind of inadvertently did this. And so they have to team up together to fix it and all that kind of stuff. And of course, romance comes to light. Like I said, this is very small town-ish, meets witches. So if you want like Gilmore Girls, but with witches, I would check out this series. Moving into some atmospheric, that's kind of witchy. That is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I love this book. I say time and time again, this is like my favorite atmospheric read, and it is. And this has very low-key witchy vibes. And so in this book, we follow a character named Emery who lives on this really small island where like everybody knows everybody. And it's a very kind of dark and creepy island. It's kind of got a hold on you. At the beginning of the book, we learned that Emery was once in this really big relationship with this guy named August when she was younger, and then he had to leave tragically because of events that happened one night, and now he is back many years later to bury his mother who has passed away. Now, Emery is starting to feel feelings for him again, but also everyone does not want August back on the island because of what he did, or what he, you know, so-called did. Emery is also a witch. She comes from witches' family. She has like a tea shop where she does tinctures and all that kind of stuff, and it does have low-key witchy vibes. I wish it had more, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it reads very much like a witchy book with the whole atmospheric setting and the spooky and creepy island that kind of has a grip on all its residents. But I loved and adored it. This one, I would say, don't go into it expecting 100% witchy vibes. I would maybe expect maybe like 20% witchy vibes, but they're still there. They're still there. We have The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic. This one I read last year and I really enjoyed it. I need to buy a copy of it, honestly. So this book, we have a character named Sadie, and Sadie is, you guessed it, a witch. Her whole family is witches. Her grandma's a witch. She lives with her grandma, and they have this shop, that bakery, that they kind of put magical spells into their products, I guess you could say. Like, try this bread, it can bring you love and fulfillment, or lavender for luck, or you know, they'll put salt in it for other super things. It's very much, the magic in this book is kind of tied to nature, if you will. A lot of the nature ingredients as far as plants and food and stuff like that goes, it's kind of incorporated into magic, which I loved reading about. So Sadie is very close to her grandmother, and it's very tragic when her grandmother passes away at the beginning of the book, because she just doesn't know what to do with herself without her grandmother, who has taught her everything she knows about magic. Also comes into town is Jake, her ex-boyfriend, and her first heartbreak, because also in this book, Sadie and every member of her family always has a curse for them. Like, everyone is different. Sadie has always known that she's going to have like 3 really big heartbreaks in her life, and then she'll lose her magic. And so she has already had 2 in her life, and she's really trying to avoid the 3rd because she doesn't want to lose her magic, because that is who she is. And so the whole book is about her grieving her grandmother, her ex-boyfriend coming back in town, avoiding a heartbreak while trying to do all these witchy things. And it was just so beautiful. It's got a great familiar aspect to it, and I highly recommend it. Next up, we kind of have a historical witchy book, and that is Wayward by Amelia Hart. parts. This has 3 different storylines that all kind of get more cohesive as the book goes on. We have 2019, 1619, and 1942. And each one of these is about a female, and through a really dire time, they all end up at Wayward College because they're in the same family, you know, from different generations. And basically they all learn that they are witches, and they come about it in different ways. In the 1619 one, Athla is waiting a trial for a murder of a local farmer who was stampeded to death by his herd. It says, when Athla was a girl, her mother taught her magic, a kind not rooted in spell casting, but deep knowledge of the natural world. And so that's what that story is about. Then we have 1942, which is Violet, who is trapped in like her family's estate, and she's supposed to marry and have kids, and she does not want to do that whatsoever. And so, and she wants to learn more about her mother, who was deceased ever since she was a young girl, and she only thing she could find is information about Wayward Cottage about that. And then we have 2019, we have Kate, who flees London because she is in an abusive marriage, and she is pregnant, and she does not want her child to grow up in that. And the only place she can go is a cottage that her family has had for generations, Wayward College. So you can guess, all of them go to this place and learn about themselves and how their family and themselves are rooted in magic and natural magic, and it was amazing. It's a short one, it's a fast one, you'll fall in love with it. And the last book I want to talk about is The Inheritance of Orita Divina by Zordita Cordova. I read this like 4 years ago, and it still stuck with me. I love it. I want to get a different cover because I don't love this one as much, but man, this one's got witchy vibes. I don't know if I can necessarily say it's like super, super witchy, but it's got the vibes, you know? So in this whole family, it's the Montoyas, who are so used to their matriarch, Orita Divina. She's been in charge of everything for years. She's always had everything. She's never really left her house. And then they all get kind of summoned to her house because she's like, I'm dying and I need you to come to collect your inheritance. So they're like, okay, let's get some inheritance. And so they all go, and she dies, and she kind of takes form as a tree. And after that, it's she gives them gifts, if you will, as their inheritance, and they don't really quite understand it. It says 7 years later that her gifts have manifested in different ways. And then we follow like 4 members of the family of how their gifts have manifested. One of them has like magic. One of them has like this rose in like their throat to do magic and things like that. They learn more about their past. And in this, you also go into Orita Divina's past of how she acquired magic and things like that. Also, while this is all going on, we have this guy that's kind of picking the Montoyas one by one to kill them. And so you got a murder mystery plot. But this is very magical, I would say, with the witchy vibes for Orita, because she's very mysterious and you don't know much about her. But delving into this book, you get to go more back into her past to figure out what exactly happened, how she got her magic. And it is a beautifully written book that I think is severely underhyped, that not enough people read. So I would definitely check this one out. So there you have some of my favorite witchy reads. I hope to do this video every year and add on to this list every single year. That is always the goal. I'd love to know some of your favorite witchy reads, because I know there's so much more out there than what I've talked about. Like, this is not even the tip of the iceberg. So let me know down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.